Well, hi there. It is, good Lord, 8 o'clock and time to show up. I'm showing up. I'm glad you showed up. I appreciate every single one of you. Do the little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. And let's shit in the box. I want to talk about art. Specifically, I want to talk about the nature of art and what art is and is not, and how something qualifies as art, the idea of good art and bad art. And I know that some of you guys are here because of Starfield content, and this really is not Starfield content, but it is relevant to Starfield because Starfield, like all video games, is art. And the question of whether Starfield is a good game or bad game obviously has floated over the community like a noxious fart for the last 2.5 years for no good reason, because it's, you know, it's a matter of perspective. Art is communication. All art is communication. It doesn't matter whether we're talking about a painting or a sculpture or music or just computer programming, a video game, an old assembly language demo from the days of the original VGA cards, which, you know, I guess I'm dating myself, but it's not like anybody else would date me, so what the hell? Any kind of art, any kind of art is communication. It is an attempt by somebody to communicate an idea into the world. And the meaning of a communication, I've talked about this before, the meaning of a communication is what is received. When you communicate something into the world, that communication is then received by a number of people. And whatever those people received, that's what your communication means, whether it's what you wanted or not. A great example of this is a Confederate flag. I am a son of the South. I look at the Confederate flag and I feel proud because it reminds me of the rebellion against the tyranny of the War of Northern Aggression. That's what I see when I see the Confederate flag. That's not what everybody else sees. So I look at the Confederate flag and I think of the Dukes of Hazzard, just two good old boys, never meaning no harm. It's all you never saw, been in trouble with the law since the day they was born. Yeah, the Dukes of Hazzard's been off the air for like 40 years now. Nobody's watched it. Everybody else looks at the Confederate flag and they think slavery, which, fair, you know, it's kind of odd for anybody to look at the Confederate flag and go, fuck yeah, the Confederacy. That was weird, but it was the 70s. And I was a kid. And the thing that made me feel this happy little feeling as a kid, it still makes me feel that happy little feeling. I still look at it and go, oh yeah, slavery, yeah, that's not a good symbol. That's not a thing, yeah. So if I were to put up a Confederate flag, everybody would see slavery. It doesn't matter what I mean. The meaning of the communication is what is received. If I put up a flag and I go, no, heritage, not hate, I would have to explain that to every single person who saw the flag. I would have to like run around and go, no, you got to understand. No, that's my flag that I put up, and I mean a thing, and it's a complicated, nuanced thing. And they would look at me and go, no, you're just a racist and you're making excuses so you can like be racist in full view of everybody else. That's what everybody does. You know, you always see the guy who like makes excuses and then he runs off and be's racist and goes, no, that wasn't racist. I was doing a bit. I'm committed to the bit. You can't do that. The Confederate flag stands for racism. It's always stood for racism. And even if you have a different association with it, you cannot display it and expect other people not to get racism. And that kind of sucks. It kind of sucks for somebody like me who's like, oh man, yeah, when you say the General Lee, I don't think of General Robert E. Lee, the coward who surrendered. I think of an orange car with an 01 on the side, jumping over a ditch. That's cool. Jumping a car is cool. I like that. But the number of people who think of that when they see that symbol is vanishingly small. And over time, we're all going to die, and nobody's going to think that when they see that symbol. They're not going to think that. Everybody's just going to think racist. We're already at the point where almost everybody thinks racist, so you can't really show a Confederate flag. And that's fine, because, you know, back in the day, in Shakespeare's time, in the 17th century, the term fuck was not something that was considered dirty. That wasn't a bad word. That wasn't a word you don't use around other people. You could say fuck. The word you didn't say in polite company was occupy. He said occupy in front of women. Really? What did occupy mean? It meant what fuck means. That's what that means. That's what that meant back then. And somehow it switched, and fuck became the nasty word, and occupy became a word that doesn't mean anything dirty at all. Nobody thinks of that. Nobody thinks of that anymore. That's not a thing that they think. And the meaning of the communication is what is received. What you mean by what you say doesn't matter. It's what other people get from it that matters, and that's what has to drive your choices. It doesn't matter if you say, I didn't mean it as a slur. If it's a slur, and other people are taking it as a slur, you're using a slur. It's that simple. You're not in charge of what other people think. And there are people who don't like that. They go, no, I'm in charge of what my words mean. Kinda. You have to agree on the definition of terms when you're discussing something. But if you're using a term and you go, well, I mean this thing, and the other guy's like, that's not what that means. Until you can come to an agreement, you can't really communicate. You need to use terms that are agreeable between the two of you. And that's important. One of the things that we've seen a lot of discourse about, I can't remember the name of the fucking game, but there's this game where you're a dude and you have a little girl. You have a companion who's a little girl. What is the name of that game? It was in my Steam queue earlier today. Pragmata, that's it. It's literally on the front page of Steam right now. It's right there. I opened Steam, I opened the store, and it's like Pragmata, big fucking banner right there. Everybody's talking about this game, and everybody's going, this game's fucking creepy, because what does a guy want to be around a little girl for? It doesn't matter what the people who made this game are trying to communicate. A certain demographic of the population is getting the message of, this is a game for pedos. That's what that communication means to them. And people can have differing interpretations of communication. And you may be wondering, what does all of this have to do with art? Well, Pragmata is a piece of art. And here's an important element of that piece of art. The little girl is an android. It's not a real little girl. And it's interesting because people will get every bit as upset about something like in The Fifth Element. Lilu in The Fifth Element is an example of the trope they call born sexy yesterday. Lilu is a sexy adult woman to all appearances, but she has the mental maturity of a child. She was born yesterday. She doesn't know anything. And people will jump all over that and say that's gross and that's creepy because that's what they've chosen to get from that conversation. And you need to understand when you make art that people are going to get the wrong message out of it. But there's a huge amount of bad faith interpretation going on. A lot of people are looking at Pragmata and they're saying, why would they make the android look like a little girl? Well, I could tell you a couple of immediate reasons why they would make the android look like a little girl. Number one, most people are socially conditioned to be nice to little girls. Number two, most people don't want to fuck little girls. So by making your android look like a little girl, you are exploiting the social conditioning of most people to A, be nice to your android, and B, not try to fuck it. Those are things that you would want in an android, you know? I mean, if you're going to make an android to help people out around the house, you want them to be nice to it. And you probably don't want them trying to fuck it. I think that makes sense, you know? I feel like if we make helper robots for around the house, we should probably make them in a form that people don't want to fuck. I think that's a good idea. And yet, you have all of these people that are like, clearly they made it look like a little girl for all the guys that want to fuck little girls. That's not a lot of guys. I mean, I think that's I think that's a fairly small market. I don't think you could run your company on that assumption. As far as the in-game rationale, I don't know it, but I can think of a lot of reasons why you'd want to make an android look like a little girl that have nothing to do with wanting to fuck it. Indeed, I feel like you would want to make your android look like something most people don't want to fuck, and a little girl is, in fact, something most people don't want to fuck. I think that's a good idea. But people are upset about this. People are upset about this game, and they think that it's pedo bait. I am very concerned about this sort of thing because it's literally just, there's a little girl in the game. The only way you could make these people happy was to say, video games are not allowed to have little girls in them. That's the only thing you could do, you know? And somehow I think that representation matters. I think it's like George R.R. Martin said about why there are gay people in Game of Thrones. He looked around and saw that there were gay people in the world, and he thought maybe there should be gay people in Westeros, too. In the same way, I look around the world and I see that there are little girls in the world. I mean, there should be little girls in the game, too. There's a quest in Starfield that's explicitly about little girls. There's the deputy, what's-her-face, for the Freestar Rangers, and her daughter is trying to track down a thief outside of Laredo Arms. And her friend Emily has the cutest line where she says, "I'm an assistant ranger surveillance assistant." And the way she delivers that line, she is so proud, and it is so adorable. And just the inflection and the way they lip sync it and the attitude when she says, it's perfect. It's the cutest goddamn thing. And you got all of these people that are out there going, well, you can't have a cute little girl in the game because somebody might want to fuck her. It's not a real person, guys. I mean, that's the first thing. It's not a real person. And also, it's like anybody that's sick enough to see, I think this girl's supposed to be like 10. Anybody who's sick enough to look at a fake 10-year-old girl and go, yeah, man, that's fucking hot. That person is going to be thinking that about some weird fucking shit. Okay, they're going to be looking at a couch and going, oh, yeah, man. Oh, the space between those cushions looks awful tight. Oh, look, there's some lubricant right over there. I think people get really carried away with the question of what is received being the communication. And that's important because as an artist, as an author, as a creator, as a developer, as somebody who makes things, you're not in charge of what people get out of it. Some people are fucked up. Some people are gonna they're gonna look at a little girl and they're going, oh yeah. And other people are gonna look at that little girl and say, you put the little girl in there specifically for that guy who went, oh yeah. That's who that's for. It's just a little girl. There are little girls in the world. There should be little girls in games. And there's this huge push. I'm getting way off topic here, but there's this huge push in art to limit the kind of art that can be made, to limit the things that can be said. I mean, I was going to start building an écorché on video, and you can't anymore because even though I'm on Subscribestar Adult, they changed their policies, and you can't have exposed internal organs. Well, I can't build the internal organs and the exposed muscles without exposing them. So this is a typical art school exercise that I cannot do on Subscribestar Adult because of their new policies. And these new policies are because of payment processors. And I was hooked up through a payment processor that hasn't changed their policies. They still don't have a problem with this. I was on Skrill, and Subscribestar has suspended all payouts through Skrill. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do exactly. They keep trying to tell me that I can't make the kind of content that I don't even find that far out of the ordinary. I mean, when you're talking about anatomy, it's kind of important at some point, you know? If you're drawing a manga, you are at some point going to need to portray somebody that is horribly injured. And you need to know where the organs are so you can portray that effectively. But I can't put that on my channel because it's against policies. Everything just seems to be more and more against policies. They're trying to control what you're allowed to say. Because they keep predicting what people are going to get out of it. And nobody seems to have a problem with fascist horse shit. That's all over the place. There are literal goddamn Nazis. Like, why do we have Nazis? It's been 80 fucking years. Can't we get rid of the fucking Nazis? Why do we still have these? And those are allowed. You can be a Nazi and take PayPal and MasterCard and Visa. You can be a Nazi and sell your Nazi paraphernalia with Stripe. But you can't be an artist who draws titties or gore. And that's very frustrating, and that's very upsetting. There are movies on Netflix right now that I can't legitimately show images of on video because it's against the policies of my subscription platform and my payment processors. And I can use those payment processors to pay for Netflix, but I can't show one image from one film on Netflix because it's against the policies, because it reflects badly on them. And this isn't censorship. This is just oppression. Okay, it's only censorship when it comes from the government. When it comes from private industry, it's oppression, it's coercion, it's suppression. What I really wanted to talk about today was the difference between objectively good art and objectively bad art. Objectively bad art can only be identified by the artist, because in order for art to be objectively bad, the artist must say what is being received from this communication is not what I was trying to convey. But they also have to evaluate whether what's being received is in good faith. If I were to display a Confederate flag, the receipt of the message that I must be a fan of slavery, it is not a bad faith receipt, okay? Because that's a real thing that people really mean. So I'm not going to be showing any Confederate flags anytime soon. But if somebody were to interpret it as meaning I don't know. I can't even think of a good bad faith interpretation of the. But for Pragmata, a bad faith interpretation is that it's designed to appeal to people that want to kidnap a child. It's a child kidnapping simulator. It's not a child kidnapping simulator. That's not a child. It's a machine. They manipulate you by making machines look like people. And if people make a bad faith interpretation, that's not objectively bad art. That's people being dicks. The question is whether the people making a good faith interpretation are making the right good faith interpretation. And most of the people that are going and playing the game and going, I like the game, they're saying, hey, this is a great dad simulator. It's like being a father to a little girl. And we got all these people that are out there going, it's really creepy if a man wants to be a father to a little girl. No, it's not. There's nothing creepy about a man wanting to be a father. And if a man only wanted to be a father to a little boy, that would be some misogynistic horse shit. The idea of being a father, and I'm a father, I got 2 adult kids. The idea of being a father appeals to a lot of guys, even if they don't have kids, because if it didn't appeal to guys who didn't have kids, they wouldn't have kids. We've got plenty of effective birth control these days. It's simple. people have children because they want them these days, more often than not. The frustrating thing about all of this is that we're backsliding. We were making so much progress. We were moving forward, and there was more and more tolerance for nudity and for sex positivity and for graphic violence and for just graphic content in general, and for people portraying dark, disturbing, distressing art. And that was really an area where I felt like I could where I could thrive. And a lot of the art I want to build is about innocence lost or stolen. And that's not always sexual. But little girls are just so universally associated with innocence that a lot of the images I've got in my head, I go, I want to paint this one day. Well, there's a little girl in there. And I'm really distressed at the idea that so many people are going to interpret the fact that there's a little girl in the painting as some kind of gross sex thing. Most things aren't sexual. They're not intended to be sexual. And indeed, when you make the subject of the painting a little girl, frequently what you're trying to do is say, no sexy, not a sexy, no thinking this is, you're not allowed to think this is sexy. It's not allowed. If you think this is sexy, something's wrong with you. It's one of the reasons you would use a little girl, to avoid the sexual connotations. And I think we have a growing coalition of people who just don't want to accept that this is what little girls in a painting mean, or that this is what little girls in media mean. And that communication is getting very muddled, and I feel like it's a bad faith interpretation, but I don't feel like anybody's pushing back against it hard enough. And I'm very frustrated by that, because, I mean, my friend Jay did push back on it earlier today and say, can we just get rid of this gross gendered assumption that men don't want to be fathers? And especially that they don't want to be fathers to daughters? Because it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't do anybody any favors. And he's right, it is gross. It's really fucking gross. I don't know what to do about all this shit. I don't know what to do about the general idea that that entire areas of art are being fenced off as unacceptable, and it just really reminds me of the fucking Nazis and their degenerate art concept. All art is an effort to communicate, and you should at least try to understand what the artist is trying to communicate, instead of just jumping straight to the conclusion that, you know, the artist is trying to communicate something gross and disgusting because you don't understand what they could be communicating. I get this a lot. There was some anime I was watching, and there was a little girl in it, and I was like, she's so cute. And somebody said, you know, it's really disgusting that you're watching a show with a little child in it. well, she's actually not a little child. She's a demigod and several hundred years old. And he said, no, no, no. If you're masturbating to something, time out. I'm watching a show. Who's masturbating? I'm not masturbating. Are you masturbating? Because please fucking stop it. And people just go off on these ideas. They go, oh, you're watching this show. Well, the only reason that an adult would watch a cartoon would be to masturbate. What? Explain the logic underlying this conclusion. I don't understand it. I don't understand this explosion of people who masturbate watching stuff on television. In the fucking 80s, I didn't understand. People would be like, oh, yeah, I put on the video, I sit there and jack it. I'm like, to the video, while the video is playing? What? Why would you do that? Like, what do you do? Just like watch it and do nothing? Yeah. Yeah, I watch the movie, I go, damn, that's hot, and then I turn it off. And if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to do it elsewhere under other conditions. I'm certainly not jacking off in front of my television in the living room. What the fuck is wrong with you people? I've never understood this. I've never understood people that jack off while they're reading the magazine. I've never understood people that like jack off at the computer. I do not understand these people. I don't know why they do this. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't know, maybe I'm out of touch, you know, and maybe this is something everybody's been doing all the way along, and I certainly, plenty of people act like it's normal. I don't think it's normal. I don't think it's normal at all. And I don't know what's wrong with these people. I feel like something's wrong with them. You get these people who are like, oh man, I made a mess on my screen. Ew. I made a mess on my keyboard. Ew. I put stains on my magazine. Ah. What the fuck? Don't do that shit. Why are the pages stuck together? Ah. What's wrong with you? That's not right. Jeez. I'm way off the beaten path at this point. I'm just very upset about the whole thing, and I really wish that people would just let artists make the art they want to make. And if you don't like the art somebody made, I think you should shut the fuck up and move the fuck on and just not say anything about it. It's like all those people shitting on Starfield. You know, it's just, if you don't like the art, and it is art, video games are art. There's a huge amount of artistic expression in Starfield. And I feel like I get it. I mean, maybe I do, maybe I don't. But I feel like I get it. And I got some confirmation from Todd Howard in a recent interview where he said, you know, that moment at the Unity, that's supposed to be a difficult choice where you're like, you have to walk away from everything. That's a hard decision. That's difficult. You don't want to do that. You're held back by all of your stuff. And it's a very kind of Zen Buddhist concept of giving up your attachments and walking on into the future and just like starting over and just taking nothing but who you are as a person. And I loved that, and I thought it was fantastic. But Todd had a point. He said there are all of these people that are not going into New Game Plus because it's too much. Because giving up everything is too much. I understand that, because what he's doing, and there's a kind of sellout aspect to this, because he's saying, I'm going to water down my message a little bit, just a little bit, because I want more people to get what they can get of the message. I understand that. And I understand that impulse. I understand wanting more people to understand what you're trying to say. And getting more people to go, it's about the New Game Plus and going through the Unity over and over again. It's about this. You're supposed to do this. But people don't want to. And I feel very much, as an OG player, as somebody who went through the Unity and visited all of the temples 10 times and gave it all up, gave up everything, every time. As somebody who did that, I feel like I played a fundamentally different game than the people who are playing on the Free Lanes update and who are going to upgrade at least some of their powers with Starborn Quantum Essence, and who are going to take stuff into the next universe using the quantum entanglement device. I feel like I've played a different game than they have, and I've faced a different challenge than they did. And yeah, I do feel like I'm fucking better than them. I do feel like I am a superior player for accepting that you give up everything and you move the fuck on. But I understand why that was done, because it's a commercial decision, it's a messaging decision, it's a marketing decision, and it does get more people to play the game. It does get more people to go into the Unity and to move on and to do that additional run through. But all the same, man, I feel like I paid dues that other people don't have to pay, and that's a thing that you run into as you get older. Is you see young people enter the world and not have to put up with the bullshit you did, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing they don't have to put up with the bullshit you did. But you can't help but feel like, I put up with the bullshit. I'm better than you. I put up with the bullshit. But with more people experiencing Starfield, more people willing to play Starfield, more people enjoying Starfield, I do like that. I do like that additional community and that additional positivity. And I don't know. Maybe that fart's going to start to fade. We can hope. And as long as I'm dreaming, I'd like a pony. Okay, bye.